Well, apparently it's a new meta way to defend. You're going to see a clip here that you might have seen online actually. It's gone quite popular of Chiesa completely winning the ball, absolutely overpowered and scoring. Now, is there a meta? Well, there is, but there isn't. But if you choose the wrong option, you could seriously affect your gameplay completely. So how do you know if you should use advanced defending is the main question. I'm going to show you some examples why I think it's not as worth it, or it's not worth it as you think. Now, there's an entire thread here did by NoFil, so I'll leave his link down below in the description. But basically, he has an entire thread where we're going to go through this, and we're going to show you some examples from my testing as well, on basically what it is using, I would say, a bit of a combination of play styles. And we're going to go through each one by one. We're going to explain, for example, how he's able to get the ball with his shoulder seal out. Now, I'm going to go through my clips first and give you my impression, and then I'm going to show you the counter arguments. So first of all, how does advanced defending work? Now, as you can see here on the screen, advanced defending gives you the freedom to choose a tackle type. You press B, which would be a tackle button normally, to do a stand tackle, and press A to attempt a shoulder challenge or a seal out. But it gets much more complicated than that. There's features that are not working. If you have remapped controllers, it doesn't work. And right now, in my opinion, unless you're Elite Plus player, it's actually going to affect you. And I'll explain to you why it's very important for you to make a decision whether you should use it or not. Because the truth is, if you use the wrong one, you are incomplete. You can either become a top tier defender or you could become a bad defender. I'll explain to you exactly what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to show you some good examples of how the shoulder seal out will work. This is one good example here from my clip. You can see here, there's a chance for me to win the ball. I press X to do it, the shoulder seal out on PlayStation. And as you can see, my player, I would say probably body checks my opponent here and gets away with it. So that is a good thing with shoulder seal out. In fact, I'm going to play a few more clips here for you. You can see another one over here that when I lose the ball, I'm running back and I'm defending. And you can see here, I use a shoulder seal out again to win the ball back. Now, I know NoFil talks about, for example, using players that got the anticipate and bruiser playstyle, but we're just going to focus on the average player because you can't just rely on a playstyle to be overpowered if it doesn't work across the pitch. So this is the thing, in all these situations, these seal outs are very, very effective because you can effectively win the ball in these areas where otherwise I would say, well, I suppose you can win it normally, but this is the good use case, like especially when it's down the wing. If you can get your timing right, and this is the most important thing, if you can get your timing right, like for example, like here, you can see like here, I'm holding, then I go back and the ball gets recycled and eventually the ball comes back and you can see here, I use a seal out with the Biniam. Now, against the Biniam, should I say, this is the thing. Now, I know Pickett has only one arm in real life. That's why she's got one arm in the game, from my understanding. But it doesn't affect the seal out. You can still do it with her. It doesn't affect her body frame. Now, the thing is, it doesn't really work as always as you want it. And this is the big dilemma here. Because once you're in this situation over here, and the ball is this, you're better off here doing a slide tackle than doing a shoulder to shoulder. Because you'll guarantee the ball there. That's the problem with it. And you see, with the normal tactical defending, the game normally decides when to do a shoulder seal out and when to do a normal tackle. So for example, like here in this situation, have a look when I'm defending. You see here I'm trying to do a shoulder seal out. And you see it's the wrong button that I pressed. But this is an accurate depiction of how the average player will defend. It's all fine and dandy when you're practicing this on squad battles or when you're playing against a weaker opponent. But try playing this in a weekend league once you're up against someone who's like same level as you or higher than you. And you can see if you press the wrong button, you're in serious trouble. So it does have its benefits. I'm not going to say it's not good, right? But the question is, should you be using it? Now you can see here, Pickett, look, does a perfect seal out, for example, here against Rashford and wins the ball back. So I think in these unique situations where contextually is correct, you can do it. But the problem is in all these examples, as you can see, a normal tackle will win the ball here or a slide tackle will be actually better off. You can see now we're going to show you some examples of how it failed. You can see here when we get the ball over here, this is the one I showed you earlier, you can see Pickett misses the ball. Again, if your timing is incorrect, you could be in big trouble. You're going to see an example over here when there was a player running through here with Llorente, and this is why pace is more important, right? Ronaldo, sorry. Now, I think the timing was somewhat alright, but you see my opponent very astutely moved, maybe didn't anticipate it, but you see here, a normal tackle would have been enough to win the ball or a slide tackle, but I opted for a seal out, and I got taken. And this is the problem. Right now, it's a very clunky mechanic. It doesn't really work all the time. You can see here, this should be a perfect seal out. In fact, if I press the regular tackle button here, I would have got the ball. But you can see here, I don't get the ball. So this is the problem. Yes, we know deflections are a wrong thing. And there's also the AI lock of the seal out. So you can see, for example, like here, this is me overusing the seal out here as an example. But you see, the game sealed out the wrong player here. You see that? So I'm actually trying to get the ball up off Dembele. And you see how the game aim locked to Bellingham, who's out of the way. So that is what I'm trying to say. The accuracy of this, you have to be very careful with. Now, there is no doubt that maybe with the bruiser chemistry style and stuff like that, it could make a big difference. Don't get me wrong. It does, from my understanding, it does help interceptions as well. One thing I also don't like about it is that when you use it, because it's the, now this is the thing we don't understand. Because it's the X button. Now I press tackle as my X button, by the way. That's my default button. But let's just example sake, that's the seal out button. In these 50-50 situations, and let's say you make a regular pass. Now what I'm actually doing with my players, I'm doing a first time pass backwards, L1 plus X. But you can see what the game does here is it registers it as a partly seal out here instead of doing a first time pass. So this is another issue with the seal out, is that if your controls are, well, to be honest, that's the default button. They don't let you change the controls. Why can't I make the stand tackle X and make the seal out circle? But they don't let you do that. I don't know why. Maybe later on it will be. But the risk over a slider, have a look at here. You have Leao, for example, over here, right? I'm running back here. Now with Llorente, all I've got to do here is do a normal tackle or a slide tackle. Now you see, I do a seal out. But what if Llorente overpowers me completely and wins the ball back there? Should I say Leao? So these are all the risks with using advanced defending. In fact, if we go back to the thread that was posted, you can see the only example that I really feel is that Chiesa one. But like here, Thiago Silva can win the ball normally, right? You see, for example, here in this clip over here, it's another one where Thiago Silva wins the ball again. You see, this is him with a sealed out. Okay, in these situations, yes, it's fine to use a seal out, but a normal tackle here would suffice. And that's the thing. If you're going to swap something for another mechanic, it has to really be worth it. Now, when it comes to playstyles, I'm not too sure how the anticipate and bruise the playstyle work. These are playstyle plus examples, but the truth is, how many of your players are going to have that playstyle? But this is the thing. Even if you have a bruise anticipate playstyle, let's say it does work, you have to be positioned correctly to win the ball. So I'll give you an example, right? Let's say you have the ball over here, right? You can see this player here wins the ball back over here. Just over here, Nofa wins the ball back here. But you see, a shoulder seal out, you could just win the ball back normally with Bremer there. Do you really need to do a shoulder seal out? That's the way that I look at it. And you can see, for example, inside the box there, another example with Thiago Silva. Now, to be honest, this, I would say this is an example of correction choice, right? Now, when you're in this situation, if you press the tackle button normally, the game would choose to give a tackle or a seal out based on AI. Now, sometimes AI can get it wrong, but most of the time, AI gets it right. So, in fact, here, if the shoulder up seal out messes up and Alvarez walks all the way around, then you could be in big trouble. And that's the thing. It's not consistently working. You saw, for example, in some of my clips examples. Now, here, it's one good example. Maybe this is an example where it does work. You see, for example, like here with Thiago Silva, able to hold off, I believe that's Morgan, and able to then win the ball. In those situations, I do agree, they can be very, very effective. You can see another example over here. You see this player comes in and does a seal out. Now, again, a normal tackle here would suffice. What I'm trying to show you in these examples here, the normal tackle would suffice. You can see, for example, like here, and another example of the shoulder seal out, I believe, just over here. I think just over here. I'm going to go forward a little bit. Grimaldo. I don't think that's a shoulder seal. That's normal. I think that's a normal slide tackle. I'm not too sure here. I think you're talking about anticipate playstyles. But anyway, the point is, what I'm trying to say is, this going back to this Chiesa example that where we're going to analyze now, it's not an accurate depiction of what happened. Now, what happened over here with Chiesa, right? First of all, this other player has now nudged Rabiot. So Rabiot is actually trying to protect the ball. So maybe this player is pressing L2. And that player is now, Rabiot's put off balance, and then Chiesa can win the ball. Now, I think Chiesa here just ran past. He's got the rapid playstyle plus, Chiesa. That's the only reason why. He's got the rapid playstyle plus. I think this is an explosive sprint. So that's how he's got the sprint boost here to win the ball back. So I don't think this is a tackle here, because actually he's getting knocked by the other player there. And secondly, All this could be done using the L2 button normally. So ultimately, does it make a difference? Now, this is why I'm saying it's so important, because this is very important. The average player doesn't know when to tackle. Yeah, it's fine and dandy for, let's say, an elite player plus and a pro player that knows when to tackle. And how I know this, because I coach thousands of students. Average people, even in the elite division, don't even know how to tackle. The reason why is, when you're playing against squad battles, it's fine to do it. It's fine to change your mind and be like, okay, you know what, I've learned a new mechanic now. But the truth is, the average player doesn't even know when to press the tackle button normally. Their positioning is all wrong in the first place. And you saw, if your positioning is not perfect, you could be in real trouble. Have a look at some of the examples in the background. You can see I'm losing the ball when I mistime it. Now, I know a few of you are going to say, well, Neil, I'm not an elite division player, but working for me. That's true, but you're probably in the minority. The average player is not going to help. And what's more frustrating, even, for example, a player like myself that wants to use it, even if I want to try out, I can't, because I'm forced to use circle to attempt a stand tackle and X to do a shoulder seal out. But what if I'm using custom controls? What if my tackle button's X? I can swap them, but then there's some other issues. There's some visual glitches. Sometimes it doesn't request a hard slide tackle. So there's a whole array list of complete utter issues with this right now, which in my opinion is not making it worth it. And that is why, in my humble opinion, it's not worth using. Now, why are people saying it's working for them? That is what I think. Everyone is being aggressive when they're defending. They're being overly aggressive, okay? Now, you can't get away. Now, if you watch me now, of course, when I teach these videos, I don't use teammate content. I try to keep it basic as possible for you. But if you watch me stream, I run out of my centre backs at the halfway line. I'm a very aggressive defender. Even with my experience, this year you cannot aggressively defend. I think people are saying it's working for them because psychologically, they're now playing slower. They're thinking about what they're doing. They're thinking, oh, let me do a shoulder seal out here, instead of running at them and trying to press the tackle button. So they're thinking about what they're doing. They're playing a bit more conservative defensively. That's why I think psychologically, their thinking is making them a better player. So ultimately, is it worth using? Well, this is what I'm trying to say. If you're an Elite Plus player, in my opinion, I would say give it a go. I think if you're a pro player, you should learn this because you will know when to do it. If you're sitting here and you're watching and you're searching on YouTube defending tutorials, in my opinion, you shouldn't. Keep it tactical. Keep it simple. Let AI decide when to do a seal out and when to tackle for the ball. You don't need to make that decision yourself. Yes, it can help you as time goes on, but if you're stronger with defending now, this is not going to make your defending better. And in these examples, they are referring to play styles, right? When you're attacking the ball, you're going to be using your CDM, left back, right back, cam, and all these situations. You're not always going to have these play styles as if they work. That's if they work. So that is my opinion on it. You know me, that's my opinion. You can make your informed decision. You know, maybe I'm going against the masses like always again. My opinions, but this is my opinion. I'm very much minority here, but I would say unless you're Elite Plus, do not use it. You can try it. But unless you say to yourself, and you know you're good at defending, and you know that you're progressively slow, and you know when's the right time, and your placement, the actual placement of the player is perfect, then it'll be amazing for you. But the truth is, for the average player, it just wouldn't be. Anyway, that is my thoughts on that. So is it meta? Yes, it will be if you could use it, if you're high in play, if your timing is right. There may be some in Division 7 whose timing is correct. But defending, in my opinion, is harder than attacking. Attacking is the easy thing. Pressing and defending is the hardest thing. It always has been. Especially pressing. That's what you call the high skill level. And you make a wrong mistake, wrong decision, you could be in trouble. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to get better at FIFA, you come to my, or FC, you come to my FC School Series, patreon.com/Neil, guys. Links down below in the description. We'll talk more about this. And if you don't get better after 1 month, I'll refund you your money. And ultimately, the last thing I want to say is, half the time, you can win the ball without tackling. That's it. I've said it. Peace, guys.